All right. Hi. That's the thing here again. And as you can tell from the title of this video, this one's about faith, i.e., everything happens for a reason, and why I don't believe in that. And the reason being is that, well, one, I believe that faith is kind of like a religious thing. It has a religious background to it. And one, I'm not religious, not anymore. Haven't been in, well, almost like half a decade. And then the other is just that the same problems with religion, or even like believing in deities or things like that. Like I'm completely atheist, so I don't believe in any of that. The reason why I have a problem with that is just because the same problem with religion, where they're always like, okay, when something bad happens, they're like, oh, God has a plan. Okay, it's like, well, what's that plan? It's like, we don't know. It's like, well, how convenient. And when something good happens, they're like, well, there you go, God has intervened. So it's like they'll play at both fields. And then on top of that, for the bad thing, when they say that, oh, okay, God has a plan, but no one knows it, when you then make something good out of the bad, they'll be like, that was the plot. I was like, how extremely convenient. Like you've played it from not only both fields, but all angles. So there's no way you can lose, right? And then I feel like that's kind of how faith is, right? No matter what happens, people will always say, oh, that was faith, that was faith. But it's like, no, like it's common sense, it's logic, it's stats. I feel like the same thing with religion is the same thing with faith. It's like it's created to make people feel comfortable about the situation that they're in or that they will be in or whatever. It's like a coping mechanism, and it also kind of like takes the blame out of things. This is when in regards to faith, you know. For instance, it's like, oh, for someone who keeps losing or going bankrupt, right? They would say, oh, it's just fate, it's just destiny. It's you know that's how it is type of thing. It's like, no. Like, you just are shit with managing money, that's the thing. But they would say, no, it's just faith. It's like, it's happened all the time. It's like, yeah, probably because, you've been spending just frivolously and whatever and things like that. It's like people use faith as a way to kind of remove themselves from responsibility, which is what I don't like. And then on the other side of things, where it's people use it as a coping mechanism, I find that also quite sad too. Like, someone who's been, say, molested or raped as a kid would say that, oh, no, it was faith. Like it was gonna happen, whether it was me as a kid or me as an adult. I'm like, hey, no, you can't say for sure. It's like nothing is ever set in stone. And to me, that's what I don't like about faith. It's almost like you cannot control your own life. Like everything has been pre-planned, ordained by someone or something, that this is how it's gonna happen. And it's like, no, like what happened to you because of these circumstances. Like you can actually see like how things were set up to lead to that. And then the fact of the matter is that if it wasn't you, it would have been someone else. Like there's when bad things happen, someone is gonna be the victim. There's no one who's hand chosen to be a victim. It's just who's there at the time, who do I have access to, who's the easiest target type of thing. That's it. Who stands out the most. But I guess as a way to deal with that trauma, people want to make it seem like, no, it was planned. Like I was chosen. So it helps them, I guess, kind of get over it, maybe, or trying to make something out of it. Because I guess some people find it hard to believe that things can just happen for no reason and just like random. Like it was gonna be someone, and you happen to be that person. I feel like people have a hard time with that, and they always want something to be the reason or some higher purpose with everything. It's like it's not the case, man. Or I should say, at least not always the case. I feel like it's rarely ever the case, but I'll just cover my ass and say like not always the case. But I just find it quite annoying, to say to someone that everything happens for a reason, and so that you had to be raped or you had to go through this hardship for a reason. It's like, no, not necessarily. Like there's no reason as to why people have to go through all this struggle, other than maybe you can trace it back to kind of poor decisions that they've made. But the there's no like higher reasoning or some kind of like objective purpose to why you had to go through that. People always like to make it sound like, oh no, there was a reason behind it. And then when you do, like I said, make something good out of it, people would then say that was the reason. It's like, no, it could have gone either way. So if I made something good out of it, they'll say that's the reason. If I make something bad out of it, then what's the thing there? They'll still say, oh no, it's fate. Like, this is the path you were meant to be on. So it's like, it's just rubbish, And that's why I don't believe in that. I don't believe in faith, or I don't believe in everything happens for a reason type of thing. Like, you can actually logically look at things and understand why things would have happened or why they did happen the way that they did. Like, for instance, good things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. Like, there's no rhyme or reason about it. Now, you can increase your probability of having good and bad things happen to you. Like, if you're someone who's doing good to people or doing good by people, it's likely that they're not going to want to hurt you because they don't have any reason to. So then that makes sense, right? It's not karma. It's not fate that nothing has happened to you. No, like, there's actual actions and reasons and logic behind why nothing has happened to you. But that doesn't mean that nothing can or nothing will. Like, sometimes you can run into the wrong person, be good to them, and they'll still hurt you, I mean, good example of, being good to people kind of pays back. It's like when you have shootings and things like that. Sometimes you see that the person who's going to do the shooting is telling their colleagues that who they like or who are nice to them. It's like, yeah, don't go into work today or don't go into school today, So things like that. But yeah, but then, so like I was saying, like, good things happen to good people and good things also happen to bad people. There's no rhyme or reason about it. It's just things happen. But, it's hard for people to accept that. They always want to think that there was something else that was pulling the strings that led to it. But it's like, no, it's common sense. If I live in a bad area and I stay there and most people in that area don't make it past the age of 30 and I'm under 30, well, it's likely that, okay, I'm going to die before 30, if there's like a high percentage of people not making it out past 30. Like, it's just stats, it's just logic. If that area has a high crime rate and things like that, it's not fate, oh yeah, that I had to die or that I was going to die. It's like, no, we understand the situation. We know what it is, Nothing is being controlled by anyone. And the fact that people like to think that, we have no control over our own lives, it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. So everything that I was able to do up until now, or anything that anyone was able to do up until now, are you telling me that if they were to sit on their hands, faith would have still led them to all the stuff that they've completed? It's like, no, you have to work for it. You have to, set things up to push yourself in that direction. Nothing ever just happens on its own. Rarely, sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes there's a lot of luck involved in things, but it's never like fate. It's just, hey, you happen to cross paths with this person and you help them, and then it turns out that this person was actually your boss or your soon to be boss. And so, that made the connection there. But it's not like things were planned out and orchestrated. How many times have the connections been missed? But no one talks about that. It's only when it happens that that's the thing. So, I just find that funny. And, like, you can diverge from and they make it seem like, there's no way that you can escape your faith. And I don't believe that. I don't think if you've been poor your whole life that there's no way to escape it. And that's just your destiny, Or when you do escape it, then, hey, that's also your faith. It's like, okay, so which one was it, They have two things going at the same time. But I feel like you can always diverge from your path. Now, you may be able to intersect and possibly even end up being collinear. But, I believe at the very least you can come back on parallel. You can run side by side to what you would have been doing had you have not made that, I guess, mistake type of thing. But I don't think once you make a mistake that's going to doom you now down a road that you can never get out of. I don't believe that you can't change your destiny, for lack of a better term, Like, you can. Like, everyone can impact their own future. Now, in some cases, it would be harder because you have other extraneous factors, but then that's not faith, really. That's other people imposing things on you that's limiting your potential and things like that. Like there's always a reason as to why things have happened the way they have. It's not like things were destined, like from birth you were meant to be, a victim, or you were meant to be poor, or you were meant to just struggle up until you're 50. It's like, no, there's always something that led up to that we can actually physically or tangibly explain, and with logic we can understand how to improve our situation. But I'm already going over 10 minutes here, but it's just something that I always wanted to talk about and just kind of get off my mind. Like, I don't even know if I even said everything I wanted to say, or at least say it properly, but it's good enough for now. We'll call this possibly part 1. But anyway, as always, that's just my opinion, and I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments, like, am I right? Am I wrong? Like, what am I missing? What am I not understanding? I'm open to interpretations of things, and as always, that's the thing.